going on, Vikings fans? Happy Monday morning to all of you guys, and welcome in to Vikings Now by Chat Sports. Now, coming up on today's show, there's some big-time NFL news that directly impacts the Minnesota Vikings, specifically at the backup quarterback spot. So we'll share with you guys that info there. And then also, speaking of the secondary, we're going to go over 5 cornerbacks that the Vikings can still sign, 5 free agents out there for your Minnesota Vikings. But before we dive into it, I want to get the positive vibes going here on this Monday morning. And a little fun fact for you guys today. The Minnesota Vikings have the most NFC North Division championships with 21 since the North obviously got underway back in the 1900s. But also, fun fact here, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have 3 NFC North titles. I thought that was pretty interesting. But speaking about the NFC North and heading into next season, if you guys want the Minnesota Vikings to win the division next season, just go down there, hit that thumbs up icon for us. It also helps us get this YouTube video out to more and more Vikings fans. So if you guys could, free, easy way to help support the show here, go down, hit that thumbs up icon. All right, let's dive into the NFL news that directly impacts the Minnesota Vikings. Another backup quarterback is off the table, and he's a former Vikings legend, the Minneapolis Miracle Man, Case Keenum, did end up signing a one-year, $3 million deal with the division rival, the Chicago Bears. And Schefter added that Keenum will now help mentor Caleb Williams in Chicago like he did this previous season for C.J. Stroud in Houston. So where does that leave some backup quarterback options for the Minnesota Vikings? Well, the list is dwindling down. Now, you still got top dog Joe Flacco, in my opinion, and I could see that happening, the Tuesday after the NFL draft. But you also got a guy like Drew Lock, Carson Wentz, another former Vikings legend, Teddy Bridgewater. Now, quickly on Teddy, I haven't been able to find anything about him confirming or, denying that he would go back and coach high school football next season. So we'll see there. He could be on the table. But then you also got a guy like Ryan Tannehill who, did not play football last season, but still would be a solid veteran option to help back up J.J. McCarthy. But out of those 5, Joe Flacco is still my top option to be the backup quarterback next season. And, the biggest reason for this is nothing that he would do on the field. I think it would be the off-the-field impact that he would have would be huge. And, having a guy like Flacco who was with the Baltimore Ravens, he led a stacked roster to the Super Bowl. He just knows what it takes. He knows kind of the highs and lows of going on a Super Bowl run with a stacked roster. And ideally, you would think the Vikings could potentially do that with J.J. McCarthy. You got a loaded defense. You got all types of weapons. You got a stacked coaching staff. I think it would just help J.J. McCarthy a lot to have that voice in his ear, and that would be Joe Flacco, a veteran who could also, let's just say McCarthy has to miss a game or two. I think Flacco could step in very, very nicely and just kind of maintain the ship and maybe sneak a win or maybe sneak 2 wins if McCarthy were to have to miss time. So my number one backup quarterback option still to this date is Joe Flacco. But some more news around the Vikings here. Apparently, we might be traveling across the pond again, and they might be heading overseas to actually Dublin, Ireland this season. As Ben Gessling said, it's very plausible that the Vikings will play the Steelers in Dublin this upcoming season. In my opinion, this would be great news for the Vikings because I would rather play, the Steelers in Dublin rather than Pittsburgh. And also the storylines of having Aaron Rodgers. Actually, last year the Vikings playing Aaron Rodgers with the Jets in London, so you just play him overseas yet again. How sweet would it be if Van Ginkel had another pick 6 off Rodgers? You could say he did it to him in London, did it to him in Dublin, Ireland. So I would be all on board for this. I think it would be a ton of fun. You obviously know the NFL is going to continue to try to expand to increase their overseas audience. So maybe Vikings Steelers in Dublin. So keep your eyes out for that when the schedule gets released. But some more NFL news that impacts the Minnesota Vikings. The Raiders are releasing cornerback Jack Jones. Sources say apparently the Raiders attempted to trade him, an intriguing option for a cornerback-needy team. And I would still consider the Vikings a cornerback-needy team here as, you got Byron Murphy, a top dog, but then you got a bunch of like 3s and 4s behind him. And I think Jack Jones would more fit into, that cornerback 3, cornerback 4 mold. But it wouldn't be a bad idea to take a flyer on a guy. And also, if you guys remember, in J.J. McCarthy's preseason debut, or just NFL debut last year versus the Las Vegas Raiders, Jack Jones actually picked off J.J. McCarthy last season. Quick note about J.J. here. I loved how he bounced back after this. He threw the first interception. Then after that play, he was just all money on every single throw after that. Kind of got I'd probably say a little over his skis a little bit, trying to make that throw to the right sideline. But so Jack Jones, he's got great ball skills, and his PFF grades over his first 3 seasons of his NFL career was with New England for a good amount of time in 2022 and 2023, but he was last with the Raiders in 2024. And, in his rookie campaign, had a very solid year. 74.7 overall grade, 61.0 in the run defense category, and then 76 overall in coverage. Now, we have seen him kind of take a step back over the last couple of years, but he is still a very rangy athlete at that cornerback position. And, it's so nice having a defensive coordinator like Brian Flores, where like any player, especially in the secondary, where maybe they have the natural talent, but they haven't been able to be, sandpapered and really molded into a true great NFL corner. When you have a guy like Flores, it can just help, make any argument. Be like, hey, that guy didn't work out somewhere else. Well, I bet you he could work out in Minnesota. And I like where the Vikings cornerback room is right now. It's okay. It's nothing to write home about. They're probably really banking on Byron Murphy taking that next step, be that lockdown slot guy, can play outside, and they're really banking on Mekhi Blackmon taking a step coming off that torn ACL. But I also like them taking a flyer on a guy like Jeff Okudah, former number 3 overall pick. I think he could do some big things for the Vikings. And Isaiah Rodgers, Brian Flores was pounding the table for the Vikings to sign him, so I could see him being a high-impact guy as well. But I will say, in terms of signing Jack Jones, and obviously, technically he doesn't impact this since he was cut by Las Vegas, so he wouldn't impact the comp pick formula. But I also don't think the Vikings, they're not going to sign any more players before the NFL draft. So unless it's a Jack Jones signing or it's a trade, we'll probably get no more breaking news type videos from me because they are very well aware of the comp pick formula. And also Shaquill Griffin is meeting with the Seattle Seahawks today. So if he does go there, the Vikings could be in line for another comp pick. They could be up to 3 or 4 heading into next year's NFL draft. We'll talk about that here in a second. But if you guys are excited about the 2025 NFL draft, just hit me with a skull down below in the comment section. I can't wait, man. It's going to be a ton of fun just to see where the Vikings at, and also just watch the NFL draft and see what other teams, what directions they go with. So if you guys are fired up about it, give me a skull down below in the comment section. Now, coming up next year on the show, we're going to go over some cornerbacks that the Vikings can still sign. Again, most likely going to be after the NFL draft, but I got 5 names to keep you guys out, keep your eyes out on here in a second. But before we do so, I do want to give a massive shout out to today's presenting sponsor. That is Game Time. Now, take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code CHATSPORTS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code CHATSPORTS for $20 off. Now, Game Time has a new feature called Game Time Picks that makes getting tickets to see your favorite teams play live even easier. Game Time Picks filters out the fluff to show you incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. Now, my favorite feature of the Game Time app is actually their views from their seat feature, which gets you a panoramic view from your seat in the app before you even buy. Now, if you guys are trying to go to a Timberwolves, possibly playoff game or a Wild playoff game, Game Time can hook you guys up with $20 off. Just make sure you plug in that promo code Chat Sports, but it's the best ticket purchasing app out there. Anytime I'm trying to go to a concert, sporting event, whatever it may be, anything that requires buying a ticket, I hit up Game Time right away because they got the best deals out there. And trust me, if you guys download this app today, you guys will not regret it. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code Chat Sports for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem code CHATSPORTS for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game time. All right, let's talk about it. 5 free agent cornerbacks that the Minnesota Vikings can still sign. And we're going to start off with a guy that could potentially already sign with the Minnesota Vikings. And that's going to be Asante Samuel Jr. Played his 24 season with the Los Angeles Chargers. And, obviously we got the report, we got the speculation report that apparently he was seen in a nightclub in Florida rocking a Vikings hat. So he could potentially, already be signed with the Minnesota Vikings, and maybe he's trying to help the Vikings out with their comp pick formulas. But, many people are speculating that the Vikings and Samuel already have a deal done. I don't know how likely this is. I want to believe it, but also there are some medical concerns with Asante Samuel, and I just find it a little hard to believe that he is just waiting this whole time, kind of has a handshake agreement with the Vikings, be like, yeah, once that Tuesday deadline comes around where there is no more impact on comp pick formulas, then it's like, bam, we'll sign you. But I would definitely have some interest in him. Now, he only played in 4 games this past season, and he was not too good in those outings. He was targeted 19 times. Gave up 13 completions, no touchdowns, 143 yards in 4 games, but 2 PBUs, did allow a quarterback rating of 90.4. But back in the 2023 season, I think that's the best year Samuel's had in his NFL career. Had 13 PBUs that year, 2 interceptions as well. And if you guys remember, Byron Murphy really struggled in the 23 season. I remember saying to myself, like, man, I wish the Vikes would have targeted Asante Samuel instead of Byron Murphy. But now you have a chance to get both of them. And if you were to bring in Asante Samuel, I think this cornerback room would be good. Like, I would be more than okay with the Vikings not drafting a corner if hypothetically you are going to land Asante Samuel after the draft, because I love Byron Murphy as a cornerback one. Asante, he can fit into that cornerback two role, and then you're just kind of banking on Blackmon, Rodgers, and Okudah, one of those three taking the next step. And then also you got a guy like Dwight McGlothern out there. I really would be a huge fan of this move. I think it would be kind of the cherry on top of a great offseason for Kwesi Adofo-Mensah. But another guy they could target, how about Rasul Douglas, cornerback for the Buffalo Bills? Now, the Vikings are actually linked to this guy, according to ESPN, before NFL free agency got underway. And, is he got the most natural skill that Asante Samuel does? Probably not. But, he is a guy who can step in kind of on that same tier of cornerback as like Isaiah Rodgers, Jeff Okudah, and Mekhi Blackmon. So you'd still have a need as like a true corner across from Byron Murphy, considering also Murphy's going to play in the slot, a ton. But I think his best couple of years came when he was actually with our division rival, the Green Bay Packers, especially in that 2022 season. He was able to have 85 tackles, 4 TFLs, can play in the run game pretty well, 13 PBUs, 4 interceptions, did have a forced fumble that season. But Rasul Douglas, he's an intriguing player to me, because also I think the Vikings could probably sign him to like a 1-year, 7, 8, 9, maybe $10 million deal. I don't hate that thought process at all. So if you miss out on Asante Samuel, maybe you don't land a cornerback that you love, then you hit up Rasul Douglas after the NFL draft and see if you could get a deal done. But how about we talk about a guy that could return back to the Minnesota Vikings if he does, if he doesn't retire from the NFL, that being Stephon Gilmore. Now, I thought Gilmore was solid for the Vikes last year. Now, was he good against great receivers? No. But he was pretty damn good against middle-of-the-pack receivers. And I think that's kind of where he's at in his NFL career, where it's like, yeah, if he's going up against like the Puka Nakuas, the Amon-Ra St. Browns, like he would really struggle. But kind of my take on Stephon Gilmore, if he's not signed, I don't care even if you bring in Asante Samuel and you go draft a cornerback, you should still call Gilmore in August, because he could be a great guy in the locker room to mentor these young corners. He understands Flores' system probably better than any single corner in the National Football League. He would be a great guy to be in those, young corners' ears. And, even if you do make a move for Samuel or a cornerback in the draft, I would still call Gilmore in August to see if he can come in and just, play some solid football in some rotational reps for the Vikings. But how about Kendall Fuller coming in at number 4 here? Up and down player. There's no doubt. Like, back when he was with Washington, he was fantastic for the Commanders. Now, he did have a downish year this past season, struggled to stay healthy, only played in 11 games for Miami, but he was targeted 45 times, only gave up 28 completions, allowed 1 touchdown, 307 yards, only in 11 games played. Now, he was playing across from Jalen Ramsey, so he was getting easier assignments, but I would like his fit with Minnesota as well. But how about another return here? Shaquill Griffin. I got mixed feelings about this. I would be open to it. Maybe if it's for like another 1-year, $3-4 million deal similar to one he signed last year, I would have some interest in. But Griffin was pretty awesome in certain spots, especially playing on the outside this past season. But actually earlier today, Shaquill Griffin, he is visiting the Seattle Seahawks. Jordan Schultz adding one of the top free agents still available. Griffin appeared in all 17 games, which was huge for the Vikings last season, totaling 41 tackles, 2 INTs, and 6 PBUs that season. So I would be open to it. Again, I would prefer it to be on a 1-year, $3-5 million deal, but he knows the system, and we also have seen cornerbacks, when they play that second year with Brian Flores, they definitely take that next step, just understanding the system just a little bit more. But I'll ask you guys this. Name a corner the Vikings need to sign. I just gave you guys 5. You just give me 1 down below in the comments section. But we'll see you guys next time. As always, let's go Vikes.